Hey, it's April 26, 2026. Double 26. Make of that what you will. Welcome to NewsPool, Refugee Edition. We've got some good news, then some South Africans behaving badly, along with influencers doing dumb things, and a government that makes faulty towers look functional. Plus one certified whack job, and some advice, which you'll ignore. But first, dessert. Reuters says the refugee cap is up. That's a win. Don't get used to it.
The title of the article, written by Ted Hessen, says President Donald Trump's administration is considering more than doubling an annual refugee limit to bring more white South Africans into the U.S., according to three people familiar with the matter. Now, I'll correct the headline. It's not about bringing white people into the country, and the journalist knows better. I've been in contact with him all along. This is about bringing South Africans suffering from unjust racial persecution. And the fact of the matter is that while predominantly the refugees are white, they're not exclusively white. And the numbers are not insignificant or trivial of those who are not white. I have interviewed white, black, colored, and Indian South Africans, and I've met them traveling across this country, which no other journalist has done. Anyone working for a legacy fake media outlet or an independent journalist. In recent weeks, U.S. officials have discussed expanding the 7,500 person refugee cap by 10,000 to allow more South Africans of Afrikaner ethnicity to obtain refugee status, said people familiar with internal planning who spoke on the condition of anonymity to share non-public government discussions. Well, let's correct the record. Yes, there will be Afrikaner ethnicity coming, but many of the people coming are not Afrikaners. They're English-speaking South Africans, they're coloreds, they're Indians, and they're black South Africans. So let's fix that record right now. But the big news here, if true, is an additional 10,000. Now, I have told my audience from the outset, do not lose sleep over this so-called cap of 10,000. It's a planning figure. Now, unfortunately, I lost someone who claimed to be a longtime viewer who took offense when I refuted his claim that the cap has never been busted. The cap has been busted repeatedly. He was correct in stating that the cap has never been busted. But my point, which I didn't bother elaborating because it was in the middle of a conversation, is that the cap gets busted, and it does get busted. They go beyond it by using other mechanisms like humanitarian parole or temporary protected status. That's how they get around it. They bring those people in, and then they arrive here, and they're given essentially refugee status, and they get the benefits that refugees get and the entitlements that refugees get. So as I've stated all along, since people became apoplectic over the 7,500 person cap, I said, take a deep breath. First off, only 7,000 are for South Africans, all right? The other 500 were for people from around the world. And now, according to Reuters, the cap will be more than doubled. More than doubled. Now, if true, that would raise the cap from 7,000 South Africans out of the 7,500 allocation for fiscal year 2026 to as much as 17,000. Given that just over 5,000 South Africans have arrived this fiscal year since October, that means approximately another 12,000 would arrive by 30 September. 12,000 by 30 September. Ladies and gentlemen, that's 2,400 additional refugees per month. We only have 5 months left in the fiscal year. May, June, July, August, September. That's it. So 5 months left in this fiscal year, which is what this topic is all about, and what this figure relates to, would mean that an average of 2,400 refugees would arrive every month between now and 30 September. Now, that is in far excess of the average monthly arrival pace thus far under this program. The White House referred questions to the State Department. The State Department spokesman did not confirm or deny the discussions around expanding the refugee emissions ceiling. But as we've seen, Reuters has pretty good leaking sources from the U.S. government who've been pretty accurate when Reuters has reported information in the past. The only thing Reuters seems to have difficulty understanding is that they're not a propaganda outlet, they're a media outlet, and their task is to report the facts. And the fact that they've refused to report that non-Afrikaners are coming over is disturbing. Nonetheless, their sources are pretty good.
Now, for the bad. Some South Africans are heading back after barely unpacking. Didn't think it through, or just bad advice? Cute either way. Problem is, it could wreck things for everyone else. My advice, if you're unsure, don't go. The real world doesn't do easy mode. Get up, do the work, fight the paperwork. Failure isn't an option. Mommy's not coming to fix it.
From the very moment that this program was announced, I said, it's not easy. It will not be easy. You will go to an alien place that's not your culture. You will start at the bottom. There will be challenges. This will break families apart. I was clear about that from the very outset. I never, ever told anyone it was going to be anything other than difficult. That said, if you have any drive and ambition, anyone can make it in America. There are apparently 2 families, one a family of 9, that want to go back to South Africa. What the hell is wrong with these people? If you came here and you want to go back, then why did you defraud my country? Clearly, you're not suffering from unjust racial persecution. Clearly, your life is not in jeopardy if you return to South Africa. Clearly, you can find work. So why did you come here in the first place? Whatever happened to it in Boer Muck and Plan? Whatever happened to the resiliency of the Afrikaner and the Boer? I presume that's who they are. Afrikaners, perhaps they're English speakers, perhaps they're colored Indians. I don't know, because I don't know who these people are. But what the hell is going on here? 9 people in a family? That's 9 refugees who really need to get out who could have come here. People have gone through absolutely horrific things, assaults, rapes, murders of family members, deprived of income, deprived of their businesses, denied opportunities, people suffering from genuine persecution. You have taken a slot and wasted our resources and our time bringing you over here because you're destination shopping? Because it's a little hard and you can't handle it? Wow, I'm sure I'll get a lot of hate mail for this one. But you know what? I won't get hate mail from genuine refugees who want to come to America, who are frustrated by the political system, who are under assault by racist bigots, white, black, and brown, and colored South Africans suffering from unjust racial persecution who've come over in this program. What is with people? Do I need to use the phrase, buck up sissy pants? Is that going to offend people's feelings? Well, I don't care. People are genuinely suffering. There are people who've dealt with very unfair circumstances being mistreated by refugee case officers on this side. And we're trying to root those clowns out. And they're being reported to the Office of Refugee Resettlement, and they're taking action against these agencies and those officers where it's appropriate. And you've been over here? People bent over backwards to help some of these refugee families, getting them cars out of their own pocket, helping them out-migrate to other places, getting them apartments, co-signing for places, and you're going to go back? I really, really do not know what to say about this. This is shocking. I've said from the outset, if you're not suffering from unjust racial persecution, if you do not find your life in jeopardy, if you're looking for a place to move to, this isn't for you. It's for people, real refugees. You undermine the credibility of this program. What did you say in your interviews? Did you defraud the U.S. government? Did you lie to our investigating officers? What is going on here? The elderly lady who went back, while I didn't formally criticize her, I understood her situation.
It doesn't matter how small that population might be, whether that's 0.01% or whatever the numbers that people were throwing at me is. If people return to the country where they fear persecution, then it undermines that claim of persecution and has always done so for refugee programs, for asylum seekers, for any programs that were designed to provide relief for people who claim that they can't remain in their country because they're being persecuted due to an immutable characteristic. The law doesn't care. And if you want this program to continue, then everyone who applies has to understand that that definition of persecution is solid.
That's going to piss some people off. Too bad. Buck up, sissy pants.
Ah, yes. Influencers. Because nothing says serious issue like hot takes and ring lights. A few spicy posts later, and suddenly the refugee program's taking heat. Turns out, words have consequences. Shocking, I know. Maybe think before you post, or don't, and keep speedrunning bad decisions for the rest of us.
Good evening, folks. Apparently it's time once again to set someone straight, someone who seems to live and thrive off of defamation of character and misrepresenting the facts, and then dangerously outing other people.
I'm going to make just a little video refuting and exposing things today for you, and I hope it's not too painful.
I made a video entitled, apparently, South Africans want to go home. Apparently, accused of a tirade by this person who outed the actual family that they're talking about.
I want to know exactly why you would be attacked. You see, is it unfair? What was the attack about? Let's have a little substance here.
There are a few people in America, Americans and South Africans, encouraging South Africans to out-migrate once they arrive in America. I have discouraged that practice from the very beginning. Why? Because people are out migrating after 2, 3, 4 days or a week. They don't have social security numbers. They don't have an employment authorization document. They do not have any idea where they're going, what they're doing, what they're up to. They don't understand the system. They have not even begun to grasp the situation they're in. Out-migration is a fool's errand.
Okay, wait a minute. There are people encouraging out-migrations, and he does not encourage it. Now, in my opinion, there are only a few reasons to absolutely out-migrate very quickly after you arrive.
You need to think very hard about this concept of out-migration. Unless you're independently wealthy, you are creating problems for other people. And quite frankly, in most cases I've observed, it's selfish behavior.
Okay, selfish behavior. Does it make you selfish to want to escape a dangerous situation?
You're free to move wherever you want in America. I'm not discouraging that. You want to move? Go ahead. You're free. You have all the rights of an American citizen, except you're not allowed to vote because you're not a citizen. Short of that, you have all the same rights as every other American citizen. So do what you like. But understand, when you're trying to figure out how to get a Social Security appointment because you don't have one, that's on you. When you're trying to figure out, how to get your check from your previous agency that you left because you can't reach them, that's on you. That's not someone else's problem. That's a problem you've created. And if you want help, people will help you. But not when you're arrogant, disrespectful, and rude. Like the phone call I got yesterday.
There we go. I couldn't let this go because there was just so much information that was not right in this video.
Sheesh. That was like mom and dad fighting in front of the kids. Maybe skip the name and shame routine. It's messy, childish, and legally dicey. All you're really doing is handing ammo to people like Dan Corder, who'd love nothing more than to turn your drama into their next propaganda hype video.
White South Africans are fleeing the country in search of a better life. And by the country, I mean America. They are fleeing America to come back to South Africa for a better life. Also, the handful of white South Africans who have been given refugee status in America have been completely abandoned by the American government. And it's rough for these refugees, languishing in cockroach-infested apartments, walking miles to the grocery store for food, and eating just one meal a day to save money. Why would Trump's America abandon the people who they claim to have saved from the worst plight imaginable?
South African situation is very, very dangerous.
Hey you, staring at the screen, looking confused. I see you. Behold, Be Patient, the official drink of South African refugees. That rainbow can of pure, concentrated patience. To survive the refugee grind of persecution and endless waiting, nothing beats a case of Be Patient. Stand the test of time with Be Patient. Perfect for lasting longer than ANC SOBs or Julie Arson is economic freedom fuckers. Deadpool out.
This sounds familiar. The government's back with another 100,000 jobs master plan. Sounds great until you read the fine print. Because the real question is, who actually gets those jobs? If opportunity comes with a checklist, is it growth or just selective generosity? Big promises, same old quota race-based fine print.
The government was in Parliament this week with another big announcement. The Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, the DTIC, says that they are going to create over 100,000 employment opportunities in the new financial year. They say it will come through special economic zones, industrial parks, incentives, exports, and the usual list of big words. Up to 4 billion rand will be dispersed to enterprises that comply with the latest Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Act, BEE. And Godlimpi says the focus is to advance transformation through practical instruments that widen participation for black-owned businesses, enterprises, SMMEs, women, and young people. So let me translate that for the average family sitting at a kitchen table tonight, trying to figure out how they are going to pay for electricity, school fees, and petrol. It is not just 100,000 jobs for South Africans. It's 100,000 opportunities, but only if you fit the racial profile the ANC wants. If you are a white-owned business, and especially if you are a white male trying to start something in Klerksdorp, in Bloemfontein, in George, you do not qualify for any part of that 4 billion rand. You pay the tax that funds it, but you are locked out of it. That is not my opinion. That is what they wrote in their plan. And this is where we have to apply some honest thinking, because the government is very good at using nice words to hide hard truths. They say inclusive growth. But how is it inclusive when the money is explicitly exclusive? They say they want to tackle the high cost of living. But how do you tackle the cost of living by telling experienced engineers, builders, manufacturers, and farmers that their skin color disqualifies them from help? This is not the rainbow nation Nelson Mandela spoke about. I supported that to some extent. Most of us did. That was about building together. What we have now is something very different. It is a system of revenge dressed up as redress, and people overseas still do not see it because they are stuck on the 1994 postcard. Ask yourself the simple questions they never answer in Parliament. Where are these 100,000 jobs? Which special economic zones are actually working today? We have been hearing about these zones for more than 10 years. Which 15 industrial parks are they revitalizing? And why did they collapse in the first place? Who will be measuring if a single permanent job is created? Or will we just get another press release next year with a bigger number? And here is the logic which they hope you'll miss. You cannot rebuild an economy by shrinking the pool of people allowed to participate. You cannot create real jobs by forcing every business to spend more time on compliance paperwork than on actually making products and hiring people. Elon Musk has said it publicly from his own experience, and thousands of business owners here live it every single day. BEE does not create wealth, it moves it around between political connections. They also promise a new omnibus bill to reduce red tape and make it easier to do business. But in the same breath, they say you must comply with the latest BEE Act to get a cent. That's not reducing red tape. That is adding a racial filter to every single incentive. So what does this mean for you? It means if you are young, skilled, and you happen to be the wrong color, the message from your own government is clear. Go somewhere else. And then they act surprised when unemployment sits at over 30% and our best people leave. I'm not here to tell you to be angry. I'm here to tell you to think deeper than the headline.
Apparently someone tried the assassinate Trump at a press dinner speedrun. Dumb idea. Terrible execution. Donald Trump is still standing, still talking, still very much not impressed by the whack job who tried to wreck the evening. Security's tightening, authorities are digging, and the rest of us are still stuck in a glitchy open world game, no pause button, and a lobby full of chaos goblins.
This is an ABC News special report.
We're coming on the air because there was an incident at the Correspondents Dinner in Washington, D.C. at the Washington Hilton, attended by thousands of journalists and dignitaries and President Trump.
I think I heard at least 3, maybe 6 gunshots, boom, 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 boom. And it was just enormously loud.
Watch as it's unfolding right now. You're going to see from the left part of your screen in a moment.
Yeah, this is the first time that we are seeing this on the big monitor, and the first time we are playing this at CNN. Okay, that guy just
see
ran
how
right-
quickly,
wow.
and you see the area that they appear to be near. We were told earlier, in the presence of a magnetometer. Look at the number of agents with weapons drawn who are running and pursuing this person. And again, note the very quick pace from which this person has moved. And again, we do not see the shooting of a Secret Service member. We do have a picture of the suspect on the ground. If we can show that as well.
Charged a security checkpoint armed with multiple weapons. And he was taken down by some very brave members of Secret Service, and they acted very quickly and have just released, for purposes of transparency, clarity. I've ordered it to be put out. You probably have it by now. Put out on Truth and put out on many other platforms. A tape showing the violence of this thug that attacked our Constitution, and also showing how quickly Secret Service and law enforcement acted on our country's behalf. Really did a great job. One officer was shot, but saved by the fact that he was wearing obviously a very good bulletproof vest. He was shot from very close distance with a very powerful gun.
What is the level of confidence that this was a lone actor, and has the suspect made any statements to police while in custody?
Yeah, I think it's just it's my profession. We have great professionals up here and outside that have been working with us. My impression is he was a lone wolf, whack job. These are crazy people. These are crazy people, and they have to be dealt with.
Let's face it, we are all good at ignoring advice, so pay attention. Oh, here's some guidance you'll probably nod at, smile at, and immediately ignore anyway. Classic. Secure your documents, learn the system, build a network, don't make impulsive moves like you're creating chaos. But hey, what do I know? I'm just the guy watching you figure it out the hard way in real time. Good luck, hero. You're gonna need it.
What are the requirements for refugee status? Imagine being forced to leave your home because of fear for your life or safety. This is the reality for many individuals seeking refuge in another country. Understanding the requirements for refugee status is essential for those who find themselves in such dire situations. To qualify as a refugee, an individual must meet specific criteria outlined in international law. The primary requirement is that the person must have a well-founded fear of persecution based on certain factors. These factors include race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group, or political opinion. Additionally, it is important that the individual is unable or unwilling to return to their home country due to this fear. This means that the threat must be serious enough to prevent them from seeking safety in their own nation. Furthermore, the persecution must be carried out by the government or by individuals or groups that the government is unable or unwilling to control. This aspect is crucial, as it distinguishes refugees from those who may be fleeing general violence or economic hardship. In many countries, applicants must also demonstrate that they have not committed serious crimes or acts contrary to the purposes and principles of the United Nations. This requirement ensures that those seeking refuge are not a threat to the safety of the host country. The process of applying for refugee status can vary significantly depending on the country. Typically, it involves submitting an application, attending interviews, and providing evidence to support the claim of persecution. In conclusion, the path to obtaining refugee status is complex and requires individuals to meet specific legal criteria. Understanding these requirements is vital for those who seek safety and a new beginning away from their homeland.
Another week down, lucky you. Being a refugee is tough. Karki helps, but only a little.